Well, and that brings me to Nicole. Now, obviously, prior to Katie, he was married to Nicole for about 10 years, and despite Nicole in your book, which I have to say is a great book, it's a great read, even if you're not interested in the material. But after reading, through parts of it, you would become kind of engrossed in it because it is fascinating. Tom Cruise is a huge star. Would you say that if Nicole had immersed herself and committed herself more to Scientology, they'd still be married, in your opinion?
That's a very good question. I mean, the fact of the matter is that she didn't. But also, in terms of the marriage, she was getting more and more frustrated with the kind of controlling elements of his character. What had started out as lovely and romantic, the flowers, the endless phone calls, the jewellery, the gifts, the kind of attention. Certainly those people who knew them towards the end could see that she felt very controlled and she wanted to break out. So she always felt like she was some kind of a prisoner inside the marriage. She was a disaffected wife. I mean, and quite frankly, no marriage ends just because of one thing. Often
right.
It's usually an accumulation of lots of little things. And certainly those people who watched them close up towards the end of their marriage could see that here was a woman who was disaffected. Here was a man who was still in love,
right,
with Nicole, but almost like he was chasing after her, she was running from him. And so the Scientology part of it was obviously significant, but also there was a personal distance between them.
And that personal distance, it's interesting that when Tom left, and you talk about this in the book, all he would say to her is, "You know why I left you." What do you think that was?
Well, I mean, at the time, it was said that she'd been having an affair with any number of individuals,
But she denies this.
Ewan McGregor, Ian Glenn,
that actor and
from the Blue Room and so
right.
on. But she got pregnant, and she swore on, as part of her divorce testimony, that she was pregnant by Tom Cruise.
Right.
She, more than that, when she had the miscarriage some 6-7 weeks later, she actually saved some of the aborted fetus so that she could prove, if it came to it, that in a court battle he was the father. So it was an extraordinary split and a very acrimonious one. I mean,
right.
I had it vividly described to me by her detective, who she had to employ because Tom Cruise had decided to employ his own detective,
yes.
A man who's now on trial.
Right, Anthony
Pellicano, who's on trial now for wiretapping and all kinds of gangsterish activity. And he says, she was, when he first met her eyes were red with tears, her face was absolutely pale.
She was devastated.
Her knee was hurting. Everything about her she was absolutely at the end of her tether. And more than that, she was considering giving up her whole Hollywood career, because in Hollywood, the power goes with the money, and the money was with Tom. So she was told by Tom's lawyer, get out of town. There's no future for you here. So she was thinking, kind of darker moments of becoming a nun and living in Western Australia.
How interesting! At one point, he was considering being a priest.
Yeah.
but living quite a different life after he changed his mind. One of the things you hinted at is that Nicole is being disconnected from her children. Do you think, in everything we've seen in the media, there's very rare glimpses of her with Isabella and Connor, and I'm curious if you feel Scientology has a role in all of that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, what happens to so many people who have been in Scientology, one of the partners stays inside and takes custody of the children. The children eventually, what's called, disconnect. That is to say, they write a formal letter to the parent who's left the church to say that, you do not share the values and moral ethics that I do, therefore I do not want to see you again. And it's quite a formal process. And you can see with Nicole and Connor and Isabella that they're together very little, if at all. I mean, quite frankly, when I was researching the pictures for this book, I could only find 2 pictures of them together from the time of the divorce in 2000 to the present day. So that's how hard it was to find pictures of them together.
Even now it's hard.
Well, I mean, she said herself in a interview that she keeps in touch through the internet and through camera phones, through computer phones like this. So and also as people who've been inside Scientology at the same level of Tom Cruise, who have also divorced, they've all said to me, what happens is that when the children get to a certain age, 14, 15, 16, as teenagers, they will disconnect from their parents. So, and they do a course, it's called the PTSSP rundown, it means Potential Trouble Source Suppressive Person Rundown, where they actually learn about people who are outside the faith, as it were, see them as enemies, and it weds you, anchors you to the faith. And this is what will probably happen to Connor and Isabella, that they will take this course and then at some point disconnect from their mother.